Exposed. How one amazing American nurse transformed the billionaire Sheikh's life in just 7 days. Sarah's heart raced as she approached the hospital entrance, her mind set on the day ahead. Another shift filled with the weight of pressing needs. Her patients, her parents, and her own crumbling dreams. As a compassionate nurse in her mid-30s, she poured her heart and soul into the demanding chaos of a Chicago hospital, but it felt like a treadmill running fast yet getting nowhere. She had sacrificed late evenings, weekends, and countless personal goals to care for her aging parents. With every passing day, the mounting health issues at home increased her anxiety, a dull throb echoing in her brain since her father's latest hospitalization. Yet, the thought of abandoning them was unimaginable. The guilt twisted like a knife. Just then her phone buzzed, jolting her from her contemplation. Last-minute assignment, the text blared. A billionaire sheikh named Malik needed urgent care during a charity gala he would attend in the city. The sheer idea irritated her. Who had the time to cater to yet another self-absorbed mogul? Who wouldn't he understand the hard work that kept hospitals running? But there was no room for refusal. She had bills to pay, and that paycheck could help with her parents' medical support. Arriving at the luxurious hotel, Sarah's skepticism mounted. Malik, undoubtedly steeped in wealth, must be another man enveloped in superficiality, living a life untouched by the everyday struggles she faced. But as she stepped into the opulent room where he waited, she was met with an unexpected expression, one of deep-seated pain beneath the tireless facade. The walls, blended gold and glass, were mere decorations to hide a troubled soul. As their eyes locked, she felt an unmistakable urge to reach out, to understand him, not to pity him, but to see him. As days passed, Sarah dedicated her time to helping Malik. The walls he had built around him slowly began to crack under her gentle persistence. She listened as he revealed the emotional scars that had kept him captive, a life of expectations, constant scrutiny, and a profound loneliness. Each moment unraveling his burdens brought an unexpected spark to her heart. His revelations pierced through the fog of her overwhelming responsibilities. Yet back at home the tide was turning. Her mother's condition took a nosedive, and Sarah found herself torn like thread, pulled at both ends, her parents needing her more than ever while Malik's struggle against systemic injustice drew her into his world of privilege. She worried. Was it selfish to consider pursuing her own dreams only now, after sacrificing so much? Conversations with Malik shifted from his life to hers, challenging her to envision a brighter future, a future that now danced teasingly close. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as she began to feel that flicker of ambition ignite within, Malik revealed the depths of his struggle against the very forces that sought to suppress his breakthroughs. He turned to Sarah, seeking her support, and in that moment, an invisible line was drawn, a choice that would either bind her further to him or reaffirm her loyalty to her roots. Caught in the crosshairs of loyalty and ambition, as her mother's health spiraled, Sarah faced a defining question, one that echoed in her mind relentlessly. What does it truly mean to belong, and how far are you willing to go to find your place? The phone clutched in her shaking hands felt like lead, the weight of her decision pulling her under. Could she risk everything to stand with Malik, to advocate for change in a world that continuously pushed back against him? The suffocating uncertainty washed over her, leaving only anguish in its wake. As she breathed in the heavy air of impending resolve, Sarah found herself vulnerable for the first time in ages, teetering precariously on the edge of her fate, and so very aware that whatever choice she made next could upend everything she held dear. As Sarah's mind swirled with turmoil, clarity eluded her. Each ring of her phone dragged her further into the abyss of indecision. The familiar voice of her mother echoed in her thoughts, reminding her of everything she fought against: stability, support, the promise she made to always be there. But now, staring at Malik's vulnerable spirit, she felt a flicker of something new taking shape: purpose. That night, lying awake, Sarah realized that her role as a caretaker had not only been about physical health but emotional survival. She had stretched herself thin trying to maintain two lives, one for her parents steeped in responsibilities, and another for a profound connection she never anticipated with Malik. The differences between them felt monumental, yet the deeper she delved into Malik's story, the more she recognized mirrors of her own struggles reflecting back. The following day, Sarah arrived at the hotel earlier than usual. A sense of urgency propelled her. There was more at stake than just a paycheck now. Malik needed her guidance, and even if she didn't fully understand her own trajectory, she could at least help him navigate his. They sat down, and as he recounted his plans for philanthropic endeavors aimed at empowering marginalized communities, Sarah felt a surge of fiery zeal within her, an awakening of ambition she thought long lost. "You have a voice, Malik," she insisted, her hands gripping the edge of the table with purpose. "You can influence change not just for yourself, but for everyone who doesn't have the same privilege. But you need to understand this fight more deeply if you're to lead it." His gaze sharpened, an ember igniting in his eyes as he studied her. There was something about her conviction that rekindled his own. Together, they began to craft a strategic initiative to ensure resources reached those in need, empowering communities instead of just offering charity. Yet, the clock ticked ominously in the background, an incessant reminder of her parental obligations that chained Sarah to her current life. On a particularly difficult day, she received troubling news about her mother's health, worsening with every passing moment. Panic gripped her throat, squeezing tightly as she wrestled with the weight of her dual existence. Could she abandon Malik when he needed her, despite also realizing that he could be the key to her rediscovering her own ambitions? She recalled the nights spent embracing her dreams, imagining herself as a leader in healthcare reform. Was it fair to put her life on hold for the sake of those who could take care of themselves? Their conversations bubbled with innovative ideas, but her commitment to support her family loomed like a phantom. Before she could voice her decisions, Malik met her eyes with steely resolve. "You can't serve from an empty cup, Sarah. Don't starve your dreams to feed someone else's. You have the strength to balance this, you just need to choose to harness it." His words pierced through her indecision, igniting a renewed energy within. Balance. The thought spiraled through her, mixing with anxiety and hope in a symphony of possibility. That night, Sarah sat at her kitchen table, enveloped in silence, contemplating her priorities. Could she dare to plunge into a life where she could help both Malik and her parents? Gradually, the pieces began to come together like a puzzle she didn't know she was assembling. Outside, Chicago's streets buzzed with life, a stark reminder that the world moved on, regardless of her struggles. As dawn broke, Sarah felt the warmth of a new dawn within her. There was no promise of an easy path ahead, but her heart quickened at the thought of forging a new reality, one where she could embrace her aspirations without forsaking her family. Just as she resolved to take the first step, her phone buzzed with an urgent message from Malik. "We need to meet. I have an opportunity for us that can't wait." The weight of her choices bore down on her, but determination surged as she prepared to face whatever awaited her. The time for indecision had come to an end. It was time to act. As Sarah stepped into the cafe where she agreed to meet Malik, a surge of adrenaline coursed through her. The air was thick with anticipation, her mind racing with possibilities. She spent the last few hours drafting ideas and strategies, but now, standing in front of Malik felt like facing a new frontier. This could be the moment that defined her evolution. Malik was already seated at a corner table, his expression marked by a mix of excitement and concern. She slid into the seat across from him, adjusting her posture to project both confidence and openness. "What is the opportunity?" she asked directly, focused on him and the promise of action. He leaned forward, his voice lowered. "I've been offered a significant partnership with a health organization that aims to direct resources toward underserved communities, but they need someone who understands both the social and the medical angles." His eyes sparkled with urgency. "I thought of you immediately. You could be a liaison, help shape the direction of this project." The implications of his words washed over her like a wave, both thrilling and terrifying. This was what she had longed for. A chance to make impactful decisions, to blend her knowledge and her passion. Yet, her thoughts flickered back to her parents, the looming presence of familial duty threatening to drown her convictions. "Malik, it sounds incredible, but I'm not sure if I'm the right fit. What if I fail?" What if she hesitated? grappling with the growing fear within her. What if I can't balance everything? My parents need me. Every chance worth taking comes with uncertainty, he replied, his voice firm but understanding. But this is your chance to redefine your role. You won't be abandoning them. You'd be gaining skills and knowledge that could ultimately benefit everyone, including your family. Think about it, Sarah, every day you don't act is a day wasted. The tension in her chest tightened further. What would my commitment look like? If I say yes, how much of my life will I have to reshape, restructure? Not reshape, expand, Malik corrected, leaning in even closer, that ember in his gaze feeding her growing excitement. This isn't just about you. It's about touching lives, making decisions that matter, and leading health initiatives that resonate with your journey. You're in a unique position, and your voice deserves to be heard. His conviction was infectious. The idea echoed in her mind. A life where she could truly amalgamate her personal aspirations with her care for her parents. But could she really handle the pressure? What if she committed and failed, only dragging those she loved deeper into uncertainty? You're torn, he said suddenly, as if reading her mind. That's natural. But remember, becoming who you're meant to be may require you to step away from your comfort zone. The double-edged sword of her reality, one side held her familial obligations, and the other, her soaring dreams, pressed heavily on her heart. The unresolved struggles of her parents tugged ruthlessly at her. But what if, by pursuing this partnership, she could lay the groundwork for a future that could help them? Think about your motivations, Malik continued softly. You are not just here for them. You are here to find yourself, to nurture that spark that you've kept locked away for too long. As he spoke, clarity began to seep through the chaos in her thoughts. She had spent so long playing the caretaker that she had lost sight of who she really was. Perhaps it was time to rectify that. Okay, let us do this, she said, surprising herself with the sudden decisiveness in her voice. I want to be part of this. I need to commit fully. But I need to do it on my own terms, still caring for my family while stepping into this role. Malik grinned, a breath of relief washing over him. That's the spirit. Let us build our approach together. A gentle rush of energy filled the cafe, and with each passing moment, Sarah felt the weight of her choices turn ever so slightly toward a sense of liberation. They began brainstorming, the ideas flowing between them like a creative current, lighting the path ahead. But as the afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky, a niggling doubt still clawed at the edges of Sarah's mind. It wasn't just her own complexities she faced. She also had a feeling this opportunity would throw her into a whirlwind of challenges that she couldn't anticipate. Just as they settled on a preliminary plan, Malik's phone vibrated violently, causing him to glance at the screen. His expression shifted to one of concern as he read the message. It's my father, he said, looking pale. It seems there's been an issue back home. I need to leave now. The urgency in his voice sent a flicker of anxiety through Sarah. What did this mean for their budding project? What stakes had just been raised in the game they were beginning to play? Will you be okay? She asked, the reality settling in that their partnership might face an unforeseen hurdle before it even started. I'll figure this out, he said, though doubt lingered in his gaze. But we can't afford to lose focus on what we're building together. As he stood, Sarah's heart raced. Could this be the challenge that defined her path? Could she help Malik when he needed her most? It was time to intertwine her journey with his now more than ever. The moment had shifted irrevocably, and as Malik left, Sarah realized she was on the precipice of transformation, one that might demand every ounce of resolve she possessed. What would be her next move? Was she ready to embrace the challenges ahead? Or would anxiety hold her back from fully grasping her destiny? There was only one way to find out. The cafe door swung closed behind Malik with a soft chime, leaving Sarah with the remnants of their conversation hanging in the air. She felt a mix of resolve and uncertainty. The weight of the opportunity pressed down on her shoulders, but so did the sudden absence of Malik. All of this felt like a collision of new beginnings and unresolved endings, a blend of excitement and fear that pulsed through her veins. She took a deep breath and pushed back her chair, allowing her mind to race once more. With Malik's absence, she needed to gather her thoughts. What would her involvement in this project truly look like? She envisioned meetings where her voice would be pivotal, where ideas she proposed could translate into real change. Yet, just as quickly, the image was tainted by self-doubt. What if she fell short? What if her inexperience became a liability? As she stepped outside into the fresh air, the sunlight bathed her in golden warmth, altering the mood of her internal battle. It felt like a quiet invitation to press forward, to confront her fears head-on. Maybe she could take this chance to redefine herself, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, the sound jolting her from her reverie. It was a message from Malik. "I appreciate your support. Let us discuss specifics soon." The simplicity of those words grounded her momentarily. He believed in her potential. Should she not extend that same belief to herself? With renewed determination, Sarah decided to delve deeper into what this opportunity could mean for her family and herself. She paced along the street, formulating a mental map connecting her passion for health and her commitment to her parents. Perhaps she could incorporate family-oriented wellness initiatives into Malik's vision, blending her obligations with her aspirations, a keen fusion of care and creativity. As she walked, she began to replay their conversation in her mind, the excitement slowly replacing doubt. What had Malik said? "Your voice deserves to be heard." In that moment she realized the gravity of those words. She had always acted as the caretaker, but what Malik offered was a chance to lead. Her phone chimed again, and this time it was a reminder of an important family meeting she had scheduled for the weekend regarding her parents' healthcare plan. The details of their conversation flashed back to her, moment of clarity cutting through her thought process. They needed more advocacy on their behalf. Perhaps taking on this new role would enhance her ability to support her family, rather than detract from it. Lost in thought, Sarah wandered into a nearby park, its greenery and open sky encouraging her introspection. She took a seat on a bench, a momentary respite from her racing thoughts. Her parents had always been her foundation, their sacrifices modeling resilience in her life. But what if she leveraged that strength to make meaningful changes in not just their life, but in the lives of others who struggled under similar burdens? As inspiration surged inside her, the concept crystallized. Her venture into this partnership could become a beacon for her family, a way to alleviate some of their pressure by addressing broader issues that affected them and countless others. She pulled out her notebook, determined to capture her thoughts and strategize. Ideas flowed as she jotted down potential initiatives, community health workshops, awareness campaigns for critical issues, and resources that could support families like hers. Each stroke of the pen breathed life into her passion, sowing seeds of clarity for the future. But the uncertain ache lingered. Malik's absence left her feeling momentarily untethered in this burgeoning journey. How could she share these ideas with him while he faced challenges at home? What was happening to Malik? The need to connect his ambitions with hers burned fiercely within her. Despite the redirection of her thoughts, a voice inside couldn't dismiss the looming question: what might happen if Malik doesn't come back as the same person? What if he was overwhelmed by his current crisis and couldn't engage with their project as swiftly as she hoped? Would the momentum she felt fizzle out? Even as she tapped her pen against the page, her determination began to morph into concern. How would she navigate this delicate partnership if he was distracted by personal turmoil? The sun dipped lower in the sky, and with the fading light came an urgency, a call to action. Sarah knew she must prepare herself not just as a collaborator, but as a capable leader who could adapt to the unforeseen challenges ahead. The partnership depended on their ability to support one another in times of both triumph and trial. Determined to shape her role, Sarah made a vow to herself right there in that park. She would not wait for Malik to return with clarity. She would harness every moment, developing her ideals and proposals now. By the time they reunited, she would be ready with actionable plans, unwavering focus, and an unshakable foundation of personal growth. With renewed direction, Sarah stood up, her resolve firm. The transformation had already begun. Yet the question still echoed within her. Would this commitment lead to unforeseen challenges that could shatter the equilibrium she sought to create? As she walked back towards her apartment, she sensed that the real challenges were just beginning. What lay ahead would test her in ways she could not yet imagine, but she was ready to confront whatever came next. The next morning greeted Sarah with a palette of soft pastels. The dawn light seeped through her curtains, piercing the remnants of sleep. She awoke with the resolve she'd cultivated yesterday still clinging to her. Today was vital. Today was when she began to carve out a path that could dramatically evolve not just her life, but the lives of those she loved and aimed to support. She dressed purposefully, choosing an outfit that exuded confidence. A crisp white blouse paired with tailored pants felt like armor. As she looked in the mirror, she recalled Malik's faith in her abilities. That single phrase, "Your voice deserves to be heard," resonated in her mind like a mantra as she gathered her notebook and notes from the previous day. Her morning was a whirlwind of organization. Mind shifting from self-doubt to possibility, she outlined her ideas further, focusing not just on wellness initiatives, but also on gratitude practices and workshops emphasizing mental resilience. She felt the urgency to solidify her proposals, weaving intricate connections to her family's experiences. Each crafted detail brought her excitement and anticipation. Her phone buzzed, but it wasn't Malik this time. Instead, it was a text from her younger brother, Amir, asking if she would be joining the family meeting that weekend. An understated question that nudged her thoughts toward responsibility. The family meeting was about their parents' healthcare, and Amir's concerns were valid. Managing their healthcare was an arduous challenge requiring attention and advocacy, often overshadowing the time she could carve out for her own aspirations. Have I abandoned them in my quest? She pondered, briefly beset by guilt. The flickering doubt nagged at her even as she planned. If I engage fully in this project with Malik, who will advocate for mom and dad? The mental tug-of-war forced her to confront a deeper truth. Balancing her ambitions with familial obligations would be her true test. It wasn't just a chance to shine, but a challenge to integrate her identity as the family's caretaker with her emerging public persona. As she crafted response messages to her brother, she understood that she couldn't see her ambitions and family responsibilities as opposing forces. Instead, they could intertwine. The very principles of care she wished to advocate in the community could trickle down into her own home. The more visibility she achieved, the stronger her voice could be, not just for others but, critically, for her family. Later that day, she ventured to a nearby community center, eager to observe their existing wellness programs. Perhaps it would ignite inspiration and stimulate further ideas. Observing how others organized resources and facilitated discussions offered her insights into practicalities she hadn't previously considered. She arrived early, strolling the halls filled with bustling energy, absorbing conversations, laughter, and a palpable sense of community engagement. She felt a tingle of excitement. This was the transformative environment she aspired to build, one where individuals could be empowered to take charge of their health together. But mid-journey, she noticed the confident facilitator struggling with unforeseen logistics, a double booking with another group. The peace within her turned to an urgent proactivity. Without thinking, she approached the facilitator, offering suggestions to organize the space. The moment morphed into an opportunity for growth. Why not combine both sessions? She proposed, her voice steady, her heart racing. You can merge the topics together. It's an excellent way to bridge gaps between different groups. The facilitator's surprised expression morphed into gratitude. Before she knew it, Sarah found herself part of a spontaneous brainstorming session, throwing herself into exploring possibilities. Returning home later that evening, she felt invigorated yet slightly exhausted. An unexpected realization dawned on her. She had facilitated a conversation, had led a moment, however small. The nuggets of confidence she had unearthed throughout the day sparked the awakening of a new identity, one of an advocate, an emerging leader unfazed by doubt. Still buzzing from her experience as she prepared for bed, another message arrived, this time from Malik. I'm back. Sorry for the silence. Let us meet to discuss your ideas. Her heart leaped, anticipation rose. Yet behind that excitement lurked apprehension. Would he grasp the evolution she had undergone in his absence? Her growing role felt both exhilarating and daunting. As she set her phone aside, her pulse quickened. Can I truly present myself to him as more than I was before? She questioned, grappling with the weight of potential rejection. The intertwining threads of fear and determination loomed larger than ever. In that moment, as she tucked her notebook under her arm, she realized the stakes. Could she confront her fears head-on? Ready to showcase a version of herself Malik had yet to witness? The promise of tomorrow lingered heavily, and with it, a seismic shift awaited. Would she step into her power, or would self-doubt sabotage her efforts just as she began to emerge? Sarah awoke before dawn the next day, her resolve undeterred by the creeping shadows of her fears. Today would be the day she met with Malik, a pivotal moment that felt both electrifying and terrifying. She dressed with intention, again a vibrant blue blouse, signifying clarity, paired with sleek trousers that hugged her frame just right. She looked at herself in the mirror, the reflection of a woman on the brink of something significant. As she made her way to the cafe where they had agreed to meet, her mind buzzed with thoughts. Shoulders straightened, she mentally rehearsed her ideas, not wanting to falter in articulating her vision. Moments of uncertainty flashed through her, images of Malik's skepticism intertwining with her own self-doubt. Upon arrival, she spotted Malik seated at a corner table, his laptop open, engrossed in emails. She took a moment before approaching, allowing the clatter of the cafe to wash over her, a sound that, paradoxically, steadied her. He looked up just as she approached, his eyes brightening with a smile. "Hey Sarah. Glad to see you," he said, motioning for her to sit. She took her place, feeling a rush of warmth at his welcoming demeanor. "Thanks for meeting me," she replied, voice smooth and steady. Despite the whirlwind of thoughts churning within, she focused on him, enabling her anxiety to settle. They exchanged pleasantries, and she noticed how he listened, actively engaging as she spoke about her ideas for the wellness initiatives. As she detailed her plans for workshops emphasizing mental resilience and gratitude, she gauged Malik's reactions. His nods of approval seeped into her confidence, fueling the fire of her vision. "I want to incorporate elements that resonate with my family's experiences," she declared, her tone rising with passion. "They've faced so much in their healthcare journey. I believe it can inspire others." Malik leaned back, contemplation crossing his face. "That's powerful. Personal stories resonate deeply. But how do you envision translating that vision into actionable steps?" In that moment, Sarah felt the shift. This wasn't merely about presenting a plan. It was her chance to demonstrate her ability to navigate complex situations. A competitive edge ignited within her, solidifying her sense of purpose. "I can conduct focus groups to gather insights, ensuring everyone's voice is integrated. This way we empower individuals to share their journeys and foster a supportive community." "Brilliant," he remarked. "You're thinking like a true leader." Flattery ignited a spark inside her, but along with it came the weight of the responsibility she wanted to shoulder. "I want to facilitate a dialogue, think about how to marry advocacy for my family with community wellness. I feel like they can coexist beautifully." "Absolutely," he affirmed. Yet, she caught a flicker of concern in his eyes. "But are you ready to handle both at the same time? Your family needs you, Sarah. This is a demanding path." His words sunk deep, and she felt the familiar tug of guilt. Had she truly abandoned her family for personal ambition? Could she hold fast to her identity as a caretaker while expanding her role as a leader? She took a steadying breath. "It's a challenge I'm willing to face. I don't want to fail them." "Failure is a part of growth," Malik offered, and something in his tone quelled her insecurities. "You're already remarkably self-aware. Just remember to lean on your resources like your brother in this community." With renewed clarity, she gathered the threads of each conversation, weaving them into a fabric of potential interconnection. "Maybe I could involve Amir in some planning," she considered aloud. "It might bridge my dual roles and provide him a sense of inclusion." "Perfect," Malik replied, leaning forward enthusiastically. Their eyes met, and Sarah felt the weight of possibility hover between them. Perhaps this was her moment, not just to step into her power, but to build a network that would encompass her family, her aspirations, and the people she sought to uplift. As they finalized their plans, a voice inside her urged caution. What if she slipped back into old habits? Yet another part declared it was time to embrace the uncertainty. She had discovered a new strength, and each conversation, like this one, was another step toward shaping the woman she aspired to be. As they left the cafe, the air filled with the cadence of a bustling city, and Sarah felt a surge of determination pulse through her. Yet still, a lingering question loomed. Was she ready to face the inevitable pushback that might come when she redirected her path? The exhilarating sense of starting anew met the pangs of uncharted territory. Would she endure the scrutiny and challenge ahead? Or would it retreat her into the shadows of doubt once again? The week that followed her meeting with Malik was a whirlwind of activity and introspection for Sarah. Motivated by their conversation, she dove headfirst into her plans for the wellness initiative. Each day blended into the next as she reached out to different stakeholders, conducted focus groups, and scheduled meetings with potential collaborators. But amidst this productive chaos, she wrestled with the insecurities that had shadowed her for years. One evening after a long day of interviews, Sarah returned home feeling drained. She quietly stepped into the house, aware of Amir's presence in the kitchen. He was experimenting with a new recipe, the aroma of spices thick in the air. Rather than the usual light banter, apprehension hung between them. In that moment, Sarah realized the distance her ambition had created. She could sense Amir's confusion regarding her newfound zeal. He wasn't accustomed to seeing her so focused outside the vigilant role she had played as the family caretaker. "Hey, how was work?" he asked without turning, stirring a pot with an absent-minded rhythm. "It was good," she replied, hesitating. "Actually, I've been gathering feedback for the wellness workshops. I'd love your input if you're open to it." His silence drew her attention, a subtle tension wrapping around them. She knew he had his own struggles, balancing school and family duties while coping with their father's deteriorating health. The path she was forging felt like a burden to him, perhaps most evident by the way he avoided eye contact. "Are you really sure about this?" Amir finally asked, his tone wavering between concern and doubt. "The family needs you now. Feels like you're drifting away from us." The words pricked at her, and suddenly, the courage she had in pursuing her dreams faltered. "I'm not trying to drift away. I want to bring our family experiences into the open, empower others, and also help us push through this." He turned to face her, his expression caught between frustration and understanding. "But what if the planning becomes too much? You're already juggling so many things. What if it exhausts you?" His concern mirrored her own hidden fears, yet deep down, Sarah felt a flicker of indignation. She had spent too long putting her ambitions aside for the sake of others. Why should she remain anchored in the shadows? "I need to find my voice, Amir. I can't be the only caretaker anymore. I want to involve you too. You can help shape this." The surprise on his face gave way to contemplation. "Involve me? You've never even mentioned this before. I didn't think you'd want me in the spotlight." A realization washed over Sarah, then her reluctance had created an unspoken barrier between them. His unease stemmed not only from her ambitions but from his own fears of inadequacy. "You have ideas worth sharing and experiences that matter," she pressed gently. "This isn't just my journey. It's ours." As she spoke, specific memories swelled within her, how they had navigated crises side by side, how they had shared laughter in dark times, and how their collective struggles had woven them into a resilient family unit. Inclusion might bridge the gap, but would also require vulnerability and emotional honesty. "Let us do this together," she said, feeling a swell of determination. "You can be the voice of our experiences. I want your perspective." For a beat, Amir searched her eyes, weighing the authenticity of her offer against his own doubts. "'Kay then. But if it gets too much, you need to promise me you'll tell me. No hiding behind ambition." The moment crystallized. Sarah understood the delicate balance between personal ambition and familial duty. She had a newfound commitment to not only her dreams, but also to ensuring her family was part of the process. That night, after their conversation, Sarah found it easier to settle her mind. The path ahead wouldn't be without hurdles, but now it felt more like a shared journey, one where her family could walk alongside her rather than linger in the shadows of her ambition. As she lay in bed, thoughts raced through her. She would have to tread carefully between the demands of her new project and the emotional needs of her family. Was her newfound resolve strong enough to face the pushback not only from her community but also from her own loved ones? Just as sleep began to pull her under, the weight of her battle with self-doubt and the potential fallout of her decisions awakened a dormant tension. The next meeting with Malik loomed ahead, each question heavier than the last. Would she be ready to not only defend her ideas but also integrate her family into this new vision? Would she balance ambition and family without losing either? The stakes were rising, and she would soon have to confront the realities of her aspirations and their ripple effects around her. The day of her meeting with Malik arrived, and Sarah felt the familiar knot of nervous energy unfurling inside her. She had spent the night rehearsing her presentation, but despite her meticulous preparations, doubt lurked at the periphery of her thoughts. Amir's support offered a thin veil of reassurance, but she questioned if the comfort he provided was enough to armor her against the skepticism she might face. As she arrived at the sleek office building, its glass facade reflecting her anxious expression, she momentarily hesitated. The last few weeks of honing her vision collided with the urgency of this moment. After securing her spot in Malik's calendar, she had failed to keep track of the overwhelming pressure. This was the first time she would present not just ideas but a piece of herself to someone who could either elevate her initiative or condemn it to silence. In the conference room, the air pulsed with unspoken expectations. Malik sat at the head of the sleek, minimalist table, evaluating her with a calculated gaze that made her stomach flutter. The contrast between his poised demeanor and her internal storm intensified her sense of inadequacy. She forced a smile as she approached the table, trying to anchor herself in the purpose behind her project. "Sarah, I've been looking forward to hearing your thoughts," he said, gesturing toward a seat opposite him. His calm presence both intimidated and encouraged her. "Thank you for meeting with me," she replied, confidence trembling under her thin skin. "I have a vision for a wellness initiative that aims to empower individuals by drawing on shared experiences and collective healing." As she began outlining her ideas, she felt a flicker of her initial excitement ignite. Each word became more confident as she painted a vivid picture of her vision. Workshops focusing on storytelling, community building, and self-care. But her impassioned explanations were abruptly interrupted by Malik's probing questions, as if he were sharpening the point of a blade. "While your concept is interesting, do you believe the community is ready to engage in such vulnerable discussions?" His skepticism felt heavy, weighing on her enthusiasm like a lead blanket. Even with Amir's encouragement fresh in her mind, self-doubt crept in. "And how do you intend to sustain their involvement? Many initiatives fade once the initial excitement wears off." His inquiries cut to the core of her fears, revealing cracks in her vision she hadn't yet addressed. "You're right. I haven't fully mapped out how to keep the momentum going. But I believe that real change requires ongoing dialogue. And my family's story can serve as a touchstone for others. Using your family's narrative as a foundation is compelling, but you need to articulate a clear strategy to foster engagement long-term," Malik countered. The challenge within his critique sent her spiraling into thought: was she really equipped to lead this? Did her family's struggles speak universally enough to attract attention and participation? With every question he posed, each pushback chipped at her confidence. But in the depths of her angst, she remembered Amir's words: "If it gets too much, you need to promise me you'll tell me." She grasped that this project was not only hers to manage, but also a collaborative effort that encapsulated the nuances of her family's experiences. "What if," she stammered, her mind racing to connect these themes, "what if we partnered community members with personal mentors? Establish a model where we facilitate guidance and ongoing support, ensuring accountability? That could infuse engagement with purpose, allowing for sustained growth and development." Malik leaned back, studying her with a newfound intrigue. "That's an interesting direction. You could be building a more complex layer to your initiative, one that emphasizes support structures rather than just individual narratives." Relief mingled with burgeoning excitement inside her, a new spark igniting within as they explored the potential avenues together. Was this dialogue signaling a shift? As the meeting progressed, Sarah navigated her anxiety carefully, relishing the moment of creativity unleashed through collaboration. This was a dance of ideas, and she felt herself growing, not just personally but professionally. She was redefining her narrative not just as a caretaker but as a leader and innovator. But as the discussion drew to a close, Malik leaned forward, a serious expression crossing his features. "Sarah, while I'm intrigued by your ideas, I want to be upfront. This journey presents challenges, and not everyone may embrace your vision right away. Are you prepared for the pushback?" Amidst the thrill of progress lay the remnant anxiety of uncertainty. Yes, she was on a path of transformative growth, but the looming specter of public dissent could not be ignored. Her heartbeat quickened as she considered the weight of his words. "More than prepared," she replied, locking eyes with Malik. "I know challenges will come, but I believe deeply in the potential of this initiative, and I'm ready to face whatever comes my way." As the meeting concluded, Sarah stepped out of the building with a sense of purpose brighter than before. The potential she felt was intoxicating. She had articulated a plan crafted not just for herself, but for the community she longed to uplift. Yet deep within her, the brewing storm of doubt threatened to undermine her resolve. She was more than ready to rise. She had to remain resilient enough to embrace what came next. The reality hit her then. Facing Malik had just been the beginning. What awaited her next, a supportive push or a professional misstep, lay steeped in ambiguity. But one thing was clear. She would have to solidify her beliefs and prepare to stand firm in the wake of criticism. Could she truly transform her aspirations into reality without losing herself along the way? Would she navigate the choppy waters of public opinion with the same fervor she felt internally? The answers lingered as she stepped onto the street, determination threading through her thoughts. She was closer than ever. Yet the real challenge still lay ahead. As the days unfolded after her meeting with Malik, Sarah found herself grappling with a mix of anticipation and dread. The enthusiasm from their conversation burned bright, contrasting sharply with the suffocating weight of her uncertainties. Each morning brought the potential for a breakthrough, yet the looming threat of public criticism loomed larger, gnawing at her like an unrelenting tide. She dove into her research, parsing through psychological studies on engagement and community dynamics. Every statistic felt like a lifeline, anchoring her to the real-world implications of her initiative. But the more she learned, the more questions surfaced. Could she truly create an environment that fostered vulnerability? Were her methodologies robust enough to withstand the scrutiny of both mentors and participants? Amir watched her from a distance, concern evident in his brow. He knew her well, the fierce determination hidden beneath her layers of self-doubt. "You're immersing yourself in this project, but you're forgetting to take care of yourself," he said during one of their late-night study sessions. "Self-care is part of the initiative," she countered, deflecting with a smile that conveyed more confidence than she felt. "I'm just mapping everything out. I want to be fully prepared when I present to Malik again." Amir raised an eyebrow. "But are you preparing to keep it real? Part of the power comes from sharing your own story, and how deeply it connects to this project. You can't lose that authenticity, Sarah." His words, delivered with both tenderness and urgency, struck a chord. The narrative of her family, the weight of their struggles, their resilience, was indeed her anchor. It was what turned her personal experience into a vision for communal healing. Yet, in her frantic quest to address Malik's challenges, she had begun to distill her essence into bullet points and business plans. Days later, anxiously awaiting Malik's response, she bolstered her resolve. Persistence was key. She had to embrace her narrative, imperfections and all. She discovered that authentic leadership wasn't about showcasing perfection, but rather embracing vulnerability. She decided to incorporate her family's journey in conversations, not as a mere backdrop, but as a central theme grounding her approach to collective work. When the email from Malik finally arrived, it was succinct, yet charged with potential. "Let's meet next week. I'm interested in discussing your revised proposal," it read. Her stomach fluttered at the prospect. This was the opportunity to present her authentic self, rather than a polished facade. In the lead-up to their meeting, she restructured her preparations. Instead of focusing solely on logistics and outcomes, she decided to weave in personal anecdotes that highlighted the emotional depth of her initiative. Each story illuminated her commitment and offered a glimpse into the transformative experiences she envisioned for participants. As she practiced her refined presentation in front of Amir, her voice carried newfound conviction. This initiative isn't just about workshops or healing, it's about providing an avenue where individuals can share their narratives, creating a tapestry of experiences that foster growth and resilience, she said. Amir nodded, his face lighting up with pride. "That's the Sarah I know. You're not just a facilitator. You're a storyteller. Own that." Yet, while she felt the air shift around her, doubt still lingered. Was she truly ready for this? What if Malik's skepticism resurfaced in an even sharper form? The nagging question echoed, was she crafting a compelling narrative, or simply trying to appease? As their meeting approached, Sarah's reflections stewed within her. The stakes felt higher now. This was about more than just her initiative. It was about her identity, her family's legacy, and her determination to create spaces of healing through genuine engagement. A day before her appointment, she stood on the balcony of her apartment, taking in the view of the city that buzzed with life below. In that moment, The implications of her journey crystallized. She felt a sense of purpose that transcended the ambitions of her project. It was personal. She would have to confront her fears, embrace the potential for failure, and share the raw truths of her family's journey with Malik. The next day would be pivotal, not only in her professional trajectory, but in her quest for self-acceptance as a leader. Taking a deep breath, she steeled herself for the confrontation that lay ahead: the critique, the skepticism, the judgment. Could she expose her vulnerabilities without fracturing under pressure? With those thoughts swirling, she closed her eyes against the setting sun, readying herself for the moment that would test everything she had fought to cultivate. Would she emerge stronger, or would the weight of scrutiny drag her down? The answer lurked just beyond the horizon, waiting for her to seize it. When Sarah stepped into the conference room the next day, she felt a shift within her. The anxiety that had gripped her in the past felt different, muted by a sense of readiness. Today wasn't merely about presenting an initiative or gaining approval. It was about asserting her identity and embracing the narrative that had shaped her life. Malik awaited her with an attentive expression, his demeanor a blend of curiosity and professionalism. "Good to see you, Sarah. I'm eager to hear your refined proposal." "Thank you for this opportunity," she replied, standing tall. The familiar butterflies danced in her stomach, but they were now charged with electric excitement rather than dread. "I've made some changes based on our last conversation, focusing on how our personal stories can drive engagement and create a sustainable impact." As she spoke, a newfound clarity flowed through her. She talked about incorporating her family's experiences into the initiative, emphasizing that the initiative was not just about health, but about shared journeys and healing. The tangible connection between vulnerability and empowerment had become her focal point. "Here's the core of it," she said passionately, allowing her voice to carry the weight of her conviction. "We need peer mentorship programs that create accountability, nurturing relationships built on trust and understanding. This way, we establish a foundation for continued engagement beyond initial interest." Malik leaned forward, intrigued. "You're speaking to the heart of community development. It goes beyond individual narratives. This approach fosters collaboration and resilience." Her heart raced with affirmation. She was being heard. "I want to create a space where every participant feels a sense of ownership, empowering them to contribute actively. Their stories become part of a collective tapestry showcasing our community's strength." Their dialogue deepened, and together they began exploring the logistics of these mentorship programs, unearthing possibilities for collaboration with local organizations. Each brainstorming session felt like a dance, her ideas flowing fluidly into Malik's insights, their energy creating a palpable synergy in the room. But as the discussion progressed, Malik's expression shifted slightly, a hint of concern creeping in. "Sarah, this is strong, but are you prepared for pushback? Vulnerability can unearth discomfort. Not everyone may embrace the authenticity you're advocating." "I know," she replied, her voice steady, "but I believe that the discomfort is where growth happens. If we're not willing to engage with vulnerability, we won't foster real change." That moment of honesty, of connecting her experience as a caregiver to her professional ambition, unfolded a new realization. This wasn't just a project. It was her authentic self asserting itself in a world that often demanded polished facades. After hours of discussion, they drafted a preliminary plan that reflected Sarah's vision. She left the meeting invigorated, but an awareness of lingering challenges surged within her. The eagerness to embrace this next step was underscored by the uncertainties that awaited. Weeks passed and the initiative took shape, gaining traction within the healthcare community. As Sarah worked with various stakeholders, she sensed the solidifying impact her family's story had on others. Each workshop not only created a safe space, but also honored the deep struggles that often went unspoken. One evening after a particularly engaging session, Sarah returned home feeling elated. Amir was waiting for her, a curious look on his face. "How did it go?" he asked, enthusiasm lacing his tone. "It was incredible. People opened up about their experiences, sharing how they felt seen and heard," she replied, her heart swelling with pride. "It's working, Amir. They're connecting with each other. And it all started with moments of vulnerability." Suddenly doubt crept in again. "But what if it all collapses? What if I can't sustain it?" Amir placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've laid the groundwork, Sarah. You've built this from the ground up. You're not just a nurse. You're a leader." His words anchored her. The transformation wasn't only in the community's response. It resonated within herself. She finished the night with a plan to engage her parents, to weave their narrative into the workshops and show it's possible to emerge from struggles stronger, with hope and healing. Reconnecting with her family became a focal point, reminding her of the shared journey that had fueled this initiative. They began to participate actively, integrating their stories into the framework of the workshops. For every personal triumph and challenge, a new resilience emerged within the family unit, solidifying their bond as they supported one another in unexpected ways. Where once Sarah had felt she had to choose between ambition and familial obligation, she now understood how to intertwine both seamlessly. Her parents became not just her foundation but active participants in her journey of growth, a shift that transformed her interactions at home and beyond. Months later, at a community event celebrating the initiative's milestones, Sarah stood before a crowd, her heart racing with pride. As she shared the journey, weaving her family's stories with the narratives of others, she realized there was no longer a chasm between her roles as a caretaker and a leader. Today, she stood on solid ground, recognized for her competence as a leader and surrounded by individuals whose lives were touched by the stories they shared. The initiative had become what she envisioned: a living, breathing testament to the power of vulnerability and community healing. As she concluded her speech, the applause that erupted felt like a thundering acknowledgement of her journey, the triumph over doubt, the embrace of personal growth, and the celebration of both her family's struggles and her professional aspirations. In that moment, Sarah knew the most significant achievement lay not just in the success of the initiative or the applause from others, but in the solid confidence she had cultivated within herself. She was a nurse, a leader, and a voice for those who felt unheard. And that duality was the heart of her transformation, an authentic self that dared to embrace every challenge life threw her way. This was the beautiful intersection of her ambitions and her family's legacy, and she was ready to keep building on this foundation. As she packed her notes and stepped down from the podium, an overwhelming sense of accomplishment washed over her. She had navigated the path of self-discovery, faced fears, and transformed them into a powerful narrative that resonated within her and her community. This was the moment she had worked toward, a culmination of experiences both painful and enlightening. She was not just Sarah the nurse. She was Sarah the advocate, the storyteller, the changemaker. Now was the time to share this story, one of perseverance, authenticity, and empowerment with others. And to you, dear audience, you need to subscribe now for more raw and inspiring tales of personal growth and triumph. This is the moment to show your support and help us amplify life-changing stories. Don't wait even one more second to share this journey with at least 5 friends who need this motivation. Together, let us build a community that uplifts and inspires one another through storytelling. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and theories. Your voice matters here.